that is actually using renewable energy and being green? How much of that is planting trees? How much of that is capturing some of your emissions?
Well, thank you both for having me on today. It's a pleasure to be able to talk about Core Scientific and where we're at. We're leading the industry as it relates to being 100% carbon neutral blockchain infrastructure and hosting company here in North America. And what it means is we've got about 56% of our power that we use today is from renewable sources. And then we purchase the balance from the National Wind Renewable Energy Certificates out of North Dakota, and have been able to really lead the industry on being a responsible company as it relates to sustainability.
That leaves a big chunk of your source of power that's not renewable. What are the sources of that Bitcoin mining power?
The sources of the power, I mean, we run about 9% is coal, and that number continues to come down. The U.S. as a whole runs 19%, so we're less than the U.S. average as it relates to that. We use wind, we use solar, we use all kinds of different innovations. One of the great things about blockchain is the fact that it's driving a push into renewable energy, because renewable energy is actually more efficient, more effective, and a better source of power. And we also know, because we have power contracts with the largest power manufacturers in North America, we also know that by 2035, they all have plans to be completely out of coal. And we're very supportive of that. And our load and what we do and the performance we do with them helps them be able to drive that initiative.
Would a carbon price, Kevin, hurt or help your quest in this?
Would a carbon, pardon me?
Would a set carbon price or a carbon price from the government hurt or help?
You know, we're very pro being responsible. So whatever the politicians and the regulators decide, we'll certainly comply with. But they're not going to have to tell us to be a carbon neutral organization. We've already done it, and we want to continue to lead this charge as it relates to Bitcoin. And as for Elon Musk and Tesla, you know, the reason I entered that discussion was to tell him, hey, if you're worried about that, process your Bitcoins with Core Scientific, because we're 100% carbon neutral. It was to educate both Elon Musk and Tesla with what the facts are. That's one of the big misnomers about this particular business. The other thing that's very interesting is that blockchain, which is one of the most important technology platforms of our lifetime, we're absolutely behind the rest of the world in the United States. I mean, Asia's way ahead of us, Europe's way ahead of us. And so when I saw this opportunity around 3.5 years ago, it was that somebody's going to figure this out in the U.S. Because it's so disruptive to the central banks and to our financial management structure that I knew someone would figure it out. So we at Core Scientific have built an incredible company in a very short time.
And I think that's important, actually, to understand kind of what the value is of Core Scientific once you've stopped mining Bitcoin. There is an endpoint on that. But I just want to stick on this. I don't want to be a pain here, but I want to stick on this carbon neutral business, because you just said 9% coal. There's another like 33% from non-renewable sources we've already established. So how do you get to carbon neutral? Is this the game of net carbon neutral, where you're buying offsets, but you're still burning dirty carbon?
No, we absolutely, like I said, 56% of the power we use is from renewable sources. The balance, we absolutely buy carbon offsets, and we support a wind farm in North Dakota to do that. We use nuclear, we use coal, a very limited amount of coal relative to the rest of the country. But yes, we're absolutely, and you'll see that number of renewables continue to climb as the technology gets better.
Just to sort of wrap up talking about what's happened to crypto over the last couple days, how do you deal in an industry where you basically now have a key man risk for a person that's not actually in the industry? Like Elon Musk is now a key man risk for you guys.
Well, you know, look, I think some of the stuff going on with Elon, and I can't speak for Elon, I can only respond when it's not factual. As I said, when we got into the conversation is when they began to, really veer off course and not expose the truth. And that's what we're about. We're about being able to show that we have a responsible company here. We built it inside the United States and North America, and we're proud of that. But certainly, as I said, 100% carbon net neutral. Bitcoin is here to stay. It's not going anywhere. It is the digital currency of our time. And it's very disruptive to the central banks and to the financial markets and structure. And we're going to be the leading edge. We are the leading edge company in North America to be able to help drive that change.